The following program is sponsored by The Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer at 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. Regional Planning Commission meeting, July 21st, 2021.
Drove down there and just opened up, and that was
It's the same
nice
one.
coloration. That's gonna do yours?
Yeah.
Are they gonna put something under the cement in the crack?
Well, I've got 5:30, so go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the Wednesday edition meeting of July 21st, 5:30 p.m. Regional Planning Commission. Go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you. Okay, first item is public comment. Public comment during the Regional Planning Commission meeting will be for all matters, both on or off the agenda, and will be limited to 3 minutes per person. The Commission reserves the right to reduce the time or limit the total time allowed for public comment. Comments during discussion items may not be accepted from the general public. The Commission may prohibit comments if the content of the comments are willfully disruptive, I should say, of the meeting by being slanderous, offensive, inflammatory, irrational, amounting to personal attacks, or interfering with the rights of other speakers. Persons are invited to submit comments in writing on the agenda items or attend to make the comments in person. So with that, we'll go ahead and open up to public comment. Please come up.
Okay, I'll come on.
I'm sorry. And if you could, ma'am, I understand that microphone's a little tall for you, but if
Yeah.
you want to take it off or give it, there you go. That's
Take it
perfect.
off? Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Can you hear me? I have a picture. I live in the neighborhood, and you'll notice there's 1 meter, and then the tenants have to park their car out in the road now, and it's a hazard.
Could you, ma'am, for clarification, could you speak your name and then also your address of where you live, please?
I have to give you my address. I live 2 doors down from there. My name's Maureen Otzelberg.
Thank you.
Most people know me. Oh, you want to know where I live? I live at 1114 Lions, 2 doors down from this. 11, we're talking about A and B there. Public comment for 1 and 2. On 1114 Lions. And let me say good evening to all of you. And here are my comments on this variance for this application on 1174 Lions. The property contains 2 apartments and 1 house, a little room for RV park or space. I have lived in this neighborhood for 12 years. There's an RV park across the street. They have 6 spaces. That's a legal RV park. Right now they have 2 empty spaces. But if you pass this variance, there's also a road hazard thing. On 12th Street, since the tenants are parking on Lions now, you cannot see. There's a stop sign there and you have to pull out. And it's really hazardous, and the school buses go by there twice on Lions, twice a day. It's a lot of traffic on Lions. I'm 100% against this. We don't need any more RV parks in a residential area. There's a lot of rental houses in there right now. I own my house. And I don't wanna see any more RVs there. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you don't pass it.
We can get that for you, ma'am.
I can get it.
Thank you.
Through with the picture.
Yes, ma'am, it's right here.
Do you need it?
Can we keep it?
You can keep it for a while if you want to.
Okay, any more public comment?
You might
Sorry.
save anything for agenda item A for that public hearing.
Uh-huh. You received it, did you receive some?
So I'd say this is public comment, we might save any public comment regarding the public hearing until we actually get to that.
Over that agenda item? Okay.
You want to wait for that then?
If you would, please.
Okay.
We were
Okay,
just
not a
unsure
problem.
when this was to-
Okay,
unclear.
all right, if you're kosher with that, we're good with that, we'll just, we won't repeat ourselves back again. Okay, perfect. So any of the public comments, that aren't about this agenda item, come on forward.
General public comment not related to the public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, this is, I've got two items that I wanted to share with you. This has to do with legislation being over now. This has been signed by the governor, and it's AB 87, and it has to do with making various changes to provisions governing the vacation or abandonment of certain easements. This bill allows local governments to approve the abandonment of easements without a public hearing. But it requires all adjacent or underlying property owners to sign the application for the easement. And it requires staff to make determinations, including the local government doesn't need the easement and that access is not impaired, and includes a appeal process. And I could, Jennifer, go ahead and look up the full, the full new NRS or amendment to it. So anyhow, that one was regarding abandonment. And then I have another one, which has also been signed by the governor, and this makes changes related to housing in counties under 100,000. This is SB 150, and I think I warned you that these are coming down the pipe, that I had seen some of these previously, but this has been signed by the governor. Counties under 100,000 have to pass an ordinance allowing tiny homes in one district area only, either square foot tiny home park, mobile home park, or as an accessory dwelling unit before adopting an ordinance regarding tiny homes. A county or city must consider whether the location of tiny houses in the designated zoning districts will have disproportionately high and adverse human health and environmental effects on minority populations and low-income populations. So, and then Jennifer, if you wanted to get the full details on those and then share that with the board, but that's what's come down the pipe. And so I'm assuming that next year that this will probably go into effect. All right.
Thank you. Okay, any other public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, recently the NDOT project in the 700 block of Great Basin Boulevard took away the access to my family's parcels at 729 and 733 Great Basin Boulevard. I had at least one access to 729 for years. That parcel was purchased from Mr. John Ginoli. Mr. Ginoli had an access to that property for years. The access was installed by the state when they repaved Great Basin Boulevard approximately 20 years ago. The state gave the Copper Point two accesses within 12 feet of each other recently, claiming that there are two separate parcels. I have two separate parcels with my brother, no access. State, excuse me, State NDOT engineer Steve Bauer, the local engineer, said that I can have access if I prove that I have a viable commercial project going in. That's none of his business. My property has been zoned commercial for years. I pay commercial property tax. I paid for a state permit to advertise my brother's insurance business. I've had fruit and vegetable vendors there, as well as nonprofit entities raising money for their different causes. Interviewing the Building and Planning Department findings of fact summary, which you're applying to others before you today, I did not find any category that allows for state NDOT feedback. NDOT is overstepping their bounds and discriminating against me and others along that property, meaning Great Basin Boulevard. You need to tell them to cease and desist. I want to know where the building inspector is. We gotta stop this. We're killing our own community, and I'm not just mad, I am livid. Mr. Chairman, I've tried for approximately 18 times to get a building permit to rectify a notice of abatement on one of my properties. I've been to RPC meetings, county commission meetings, city council meetings, as well as numerous attempts at City Hall to get the permit. You allowed the community choir to temporarily repair their Centennial building, no contractor, no permit, no licensed handyman, only volunteers or members. I want equal protection under the law. I want the same consideration. On one hand, you want me to fix things up. On the other hand, you tie my hands and throw me out with the garbage. Not gonna happen. You gotta be consistent. Somewhere, the buck stops, and I'm saying it stops here and the other entities. If the building inspector will not issue me a permit, then this commission needs to issue me one. I want the discrimination to stop. Mr. Chairman, the city is doing a chip seal project on Avenue D between Wheel Machinery and the Prospector Casino. That project should be a general improvement district and meet mandated city codes, curb, gutter, and sidewalk. I have noticed the Regional Transportation Commission more than once. You need to stop the project. You cannot selectively enforce the laws under color of law. You got people parking on the side, no curb and gutter, no sidewalks.
Thank you,
Can't have
George.
that. That's a new project.
Thank
You
you.
need to address that, Mr. Chairman. I'll be back.
Is there any more public comment? All right, we'll move on to public hearing. For variance application, the applicant wishes to place an RV space on the property with the intent of being a rentable residential RV space. The property address or general location is 1174 Lyons Avenue, Ely, Nevada. The assessor parcel is 001-204-01. The applicant is Stephen Morton Stern.
Morgan, sir.
Sorry. So we will hear public comment on this.
My name is Bill Holt, and I live at 1080 Lyons Avenue, and I own the home. I also purchased a home at 910 Lyons Avenue. And I purchased it mainly because it's a residential area, and I do not want to see another RV park in the area. As Maureen has already pointed out, this piece of property also has 3 rentals on it. Now they want to add RVs to it. And should the city council or the commission ever decide to do this, I also do not believe there's any sewer connections on this location. But I urge you to vote against it.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Virginia Amy. I live at 1078 Lyons Avenue, and I do own my home. I do not want a trailer park down there. It's a dirt area. We have all the cars that are on those homes having to park in the street because there is no driveways or anything like that. We have 2 ATV trails that run up and down that street. We have the middle school buses going up and down that street. I can hardly call it a residential area with all the new things coming in. And there is already a trailer park in front of us. I don't see that we need to put it behind us where we still have homes, and I want to maintain the residential. I agree with Maureen and with Bill and any of the other neighbors that are here We just don't need a trailer park in that area. There's other places that it could be put. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment about this item?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this item should not have been on the agenda for variance. That property is grandfathered in. Adele Ratazzi, a former city councilwoman, I believe owned that property at one time. It was rented out to RVs for years. I attended the Orthodox Church in that area over 60 years. There was RVs at that time. The zoning has not been changed. It's grandfathered in. It was in operation prior to Mr. Glenn Terry buying and rezoning the property across the street, which is once owned by Ron and Tammy Cargrave, the bigger one that you see now. You need to refund Mr. Morgenstern's money. Selective enforcement of the laws needs to stop. I've come before you in regards to RVs throughout the community. Where's the permits? Here you have one on Avenue B, another one on Altman. No permit, no application. I've tried to rent my properties in Central Ely to RVs, motorhomes. I can't do it. Yet within a block of me, 2 blocks of me, you have as many as 3 on one lot. The discrimination has to stop. On this particular issue, this gentleman should have the ability to rent his property, it's grandfathered in, and you cannot simply take that right away. You can't. You need to study the law before you go any farther. I can understand some of these people not liking it, but unfortunately the zoning was there prior to them moving to Ely, prior to them buying the property that they did. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Jennifer, did you have something to read into this?
I do not.
Anything? Any other public comment on this item? Okay, thank you. With that being said, we'll go on to item A, discussion. Number 2, for discussion for possible action, approval of a variance application. The applicant wishes to place an RV on the property with the intent of being a rentable residential RV space. The property address or general location is 1174 Lyons Avenue, Ely, Nevada. The assessor's parcel number is 001-20401. The applicant is Stephen Morgenstern. Do you have any discussion on this item? I guess my first thing is going into the zoning, what's been brought up. And from what I understand, the current zoning for this was R-M-50, multiple family residential district. Was it, I'm mistaken on this, or is that what this is zoned at?
RM50 is correct.
Okay, all right. So we're not actually zoned then for a RV trailer park, is that correct?
Correct.
And to be further clear, in order for it to be a residence of any sort, what does the law say that makes it a permanent residence? Is it a foundation that structure has to be on to make it a residential property? Is that correct? That's how I understand it?
Yeah.
Well, actually, RVs, even on a foundation, could not be in a residential area. A manufactured home can be,
Correct.
if it's on a foundation, 6 years old or newer. Minimum 1,200 square feet.
Okay, so this is the clarification that I'm looking for on that.
Great questions to bring up. I gotta say, I'm against this. I really don't understand how grandfathered in applies. These are movable, homes on wheels. I'm not sure how, without knowing the full history, was this road, zoned at one point for manufactured homes? Is this how this kind of came about, with the lot across the street?
Not to my knowledge.
Folks, you need to speak up. Can't hear you.
Okay.
And Stephen is here as well, if you have
Okay.
questions for him.
My understanding is it has to have a foundation, and, when we started this, commission here, our goal was to improve things, not go backwards. And there's so many zoning issues in this city, a lot of grandfathered in, not very careful planning at first, so we're kind of sorting all this out. And we talked about dealing with these things as they come about, and here we are, you know, in one of those situations. With multifamily, I don't think slapping another RV on the lot is really the answer. I think there are other alternatives, maybe add-ons, getting with the building department, and, maybe looking into that, but I'm against putting an RV on the lot. That's my take on that.
I'm just gonna share that I agree with her. This is the first commission meeting where I've gotten 3 or 4 phone calls about an item prior to the meeting, with people voicing their issues and confliction with this change. I noticed that the building inspector says it doesn't comply with current zoning. And I hate to say this, but I respect the property owners that live in homes not wanting to have a trailer park next to them. And if this isn't zoned for that now, I'm against a variance for the zoning.
Stephen, I think that's my thing is, that I understand the need for more residential housing. Believe me, that's one of the things that we have been trying to work on as much as we can, however we can, to get things in here and get more residential housing, because we are in desperate need of that, and so I do understand that point. If I was on this commission years ago, well, I'm not sure who actually owned it back then when it all became the property across the street became a trailer park. I probably would have been against that too, but I was not on that committee. I don't know who did all that. But I'm inclined to say no in there, because we are trying at this board to be a proactive board and set a precedence for further planning and how we want things. And I think that I would love to see some more designated areas for trailers and manufactured homes and those kind of things, but I don't believe that area down there is conducive for that type, for another establishment close to what we have across the street. So that's kind of where I'm at. Are we about to listen?
Yeah, you
Here's
can
Stephen,
speak.
and yes, please come up,
Anything to say?
please.
I was just waiting, I don't know when
No,
appropriate
you're
time.
welcome to come up.
Okay.
You're welcome to come up.
Okay, Steve Morgenstern, owner, 1174 and 1174 and a half Lions, which is one parcel, and yeah, when it's in a trust, this property's in a trust. When we acquired this place, it was, I think it was in probate at that time. And the spaces are pre-existing, the plumbing is there and everything. So at one point it was, I think 4 or 5 trailer spaces, there. And then I went to rent a spot out, and shortly the city came and said, no can do. It was grandfathered in, and you're gonna have to apply for a variance. And that's this day, 16 or 17 years later, that day has come.
Gotcha.
And I appreciate everybody's interest and time, and to the people who have spoken, and I'm seeking for one space, realizing that it would be probably unreasonable and unrealistic to apply for more than one space there. But I understand it's a variance. Across the street, as I understand it, that, across the street is actually zoned commercial, if I'm not mistaken. So, that's a different process there. But I thought that given that it had been trailer spaces before and I was seeking one spot, that the variance would, at least it was worth being heard here. And, so, sure, I'd love to have a space there, obviously for a little extra income. And the plumbing and electrical is already wired up for it. And tried to make a reasonable request in terms of the length of the unit. I think I put a 32-foot limit on there. So that's my opinion.
One of the issues with things that were grandfathered in, if I'm not mistaken, they have to be continuous once they're grandfathered in. Taking out an old and putting in a new, I don't know what kind of trailer you're thinking. Now we have an age limit on the trailers that are put into place. And a lot of that is some of the things we're going to have to deal with
Sure.
to get this all fixed. But I'm of the same opinion. I've lived in White Pine County my whole life, and I've been in that area. I had an aunt that lived close by to that area. We're trying to beautify the city, make things better for everyone, and I just can't see putting in a trailer in that area. If it was large enough to put a small home on your property or something,
No.
that might be an option, but at this rate, I don't think it's a good idea.
I appreciate that, and I can understand that. So,
And I just want to commend you for even, coming to the board with your request. A lot of people don't, and that's where we have these issues that we have to sort out, so,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah, okay, very good, thank you.
Any more comment on that? Before I put it? So looking for a motion right now
We
to,
need to go from the public hearing to,
so we need, I'm sorry, we need to close that then, public hearing.
I'll move to approve,
We just need to close the public hearing and then go into the next item.
So yeah, it would die for lack of motion, is that correct?
If nobody makes a motion.
Right. Yeah. So do I hear a motion on approval of this variance? Okay, seeing there's no motion, then it dies for lack of a motion. Okay. We're gonna go on to public hearing discussion, item B, discussion for possible action on some occupation agreement for photography business. The applicant is Brady Hall of 6 May Photography Company. Hi there.
Hello. My name is Brandy Hall, and I'm wanting to start my own business as a photographer. And I will be doing the business site out of my home and taking pictures wherever my clients wish to have their pictures taken. I'll be offering senior photos, family photos, engagements, maternity, newborns, and I'm currently working with White River Boutique, and I've been practicing taking her pictures, and I'd like to continue to do that with my business as well.
Thank you, and congratulations on starting your business. So we've had a few photographers come in here and ask for their occupation agreements on there, and I guess the standard question we always ask is, I'm assuming it's probably digital photography you're doing, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, the reason I ask that is there are some old school people that still are using the film and developing their own stuff, and that means chemicals on
Yeah.
site and things like that, so nothing.
None of that. It's
Yeah,
all
okay,
digital.
I didn't think so, but,
Well, can I ask a question then? Are you gonna have a studio in your house?
No.
Okay.
okay.
If I were to get a bigger house, then that would be a possibility, but right now with 6 kids, I don't see that happening.
Well, you, just to run a business with, on top of that, with 6 kids, that's quite a.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Randy?
I don't have any.
Okay,
Straightforward.
so,
I move
we
to,
hear a motion?
yeah, I move to approve the home occupation agreement, for Randy Hall, 6 Main Photography.
So Andy has made a motion to approve it, and Carol has seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yes, you,
Okay,
no, we're not
good.
gonna hold you in captivity
I just wanted to
here.
make sure. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is item C, discussion for possible action of a home occupation agreement for a wholesale business. This applicant is David Eldridge and MD Nut and Bolt.
Thank you, everybody.
Hi there.
We've actually, MD Nut Bolt's been around since 2010 and been operating out of the home. This is just first year as I applied for my renewal of my city business license that they require home occupation. We don't actually do any business out of the home, there's no retail. It's basically a home office in order to create invoices. All of my product I pick up directly from the shippers and it goes out of town.
So there's really no storage on
No.
site, right? Okay.
No, it's just an address to have mail sent to essentially, and my home office, obviously, to do my billing.
Okay, gotcha. Alrighty.
I'll move to accept this.
I'm sorry?
I'll move that we accept this.
Okay, so
Second.
we have a motion to accept it. Andy, you're gonna second it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay.
I
Thank
have
you
a
guys.
question. So
Yes.
what is your business do exactly?
We sell consumables, nuts, bolts, pipe fittings, chemicals, to mines.
Oh, okay.
Mostly Rolleston, but out to Eureka and a few other places.
Very cool.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, next item, discussion for possible action, approval of parcel map. The applicant, Robert L. Hopper, desires to divide the parcel. The subject property is 1/4 section northwest and northeast section 31, township 14 north range 64E, and 8050 south, 71st East Street, Willow Creek Ranch, Nevada, APD 012-790-35. Hi there.
Good evening. Buzz Roseberry, surveyor of record. These two maps, they're on the next agenda item. They're finishing up a tentative map that he had submitted some time back. Actually, a couple different companies ago. I think I'm the third surveyor to work on this, and I'm just trying to get him finished up. I think we have 3 on the first parcel, and then 4 on the next parcel now. But this completes all the parceling he can do for that tentative map.
And these are 5-acre parcels, I think.
Yes, all 5-acre parcels now.
Right.
Where, no power, where does the power go to on this one?
I'm not sure what they have going on out there for power. I'm not.
I wasn't sure if it was underground, because I don't recall it being above ground or anything like that.
I don't know, some of the other adjoining lots, solar, generator, I'm not sure if there is power that goes out that far.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Buzz?
And I guess that, so, and you were telling me that, or telling us that that kind of completes the entire, more or less subdivision of that, not calling it a subdivision, but it completes the partialing of that area that the Hoffmans originally owned, is that right?
Yeah, there's obviously more property there, but the tentative map that they submitted, this is in line with the tentative map, and these are the last 7 parcels
Okay.
per that tentative map. If he was to do something different, then that's another process that we'll have to go down.
Okay. Anything else? I hear a motion to approve.
So moved.
Carol, so moved, a motion approved.
You got it.
Andy will second it. All in favor of this? Aye. All opposed? Okay, Buzz, keep up on the podium here, I guess, in the next one. So, item E, discussion of possible action, approval of parcel map. The applicant, Robert L. Hoffman, desires to divide the parcel. The subject property is 1/4 section northwest and northeast section 31st Township, 14 North Range, 64 East, 8050 South, 71st East Street, Willow Creek Ranch, Nevada, 8N 012-790-36. And I'm assuming the same.
Yeah. Actually, this one would actually complete the last one.
Okay.
We got 4 more to go.
Okay.
So, yeah, this completes the build out for his parceling. I think he's doing well on his lot sales out there now. Quite up in age. Pretty impressive guy, I think he's 96 or something like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he said he had the potential to sell some more parcels in the office. So, well, you can do 7 more and then you're done.
Okay,
So,
sounds
here
good.
we are.
Any other questions for Buzz? Okay, so, motion for that? Okay, Brad will make the motion to accept,
I'll second.
and Leah will second. She was quick on the draw on that one. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, thanks, Buzz.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, item F. I'm sorry? Yes. Yeah. Item F, discussion only regarding building and zoning codes within the city of Ely and Lycoming County. Do you have any discussion on this?
The only discussion I had was my concern of what Lori brought up for the tiny homes and how that might impact us, because we do have a lot of small city lots. And I think it would restrict our growth if we didn't have smaller homes. And it's not like they're, I'm talking about permanent foundation homes, not trailers. To allow them to be zoned into the system, so I'm not sure. Looks like we have 2 attorneys here that look very attorney-ish. I'm just wondering, would that impact our wanting to allow people, because a lot of our lots are 25 by 100 foot, to put tiny homes on their lots? I don't know.
Can I
Got that?
respond to that?
Yeah, we've talked about that before, but go ahead.
So when we say tiny homes, we have to remember, I think what they're referring to with the tiny homes are basically the
Trailers.
the ones that are rated as RVs,
Yeah.
okay? Small homes can still be put on small lots. Remember, we had talked about
Okay,
a small home can, as far as the International Residential Code, it just has to be the minimum livable area that is required by the IRC, which is, off the top of my head, around 300 feet, 300 square feet.
I think it's 399.
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty small.
300 to
Yeah,
400,
okay.
somewhere in there, but they can make them pretty small, built, stick-built, and on a foundation on small homes. But
okay.
I
That was
believe
just,
with what Lori was discussing, would refer to the tiny homes that are rated as RVs.
thank you. That's all I need to know.
Sounds like a play on words, really. We can do our own subdivisions, but they have to either fit that tiny home model or a model we come up with, it sounds like, I don't
Well,
know.
I'm trying to bring builders up here. I've talked about them building tiny homes. And there are developers that will have, they're doing custom concrete homes. Any size, if you want to look like a craftsman home from the 40s, they'll do that. So I know they can bring them in here, and they want to, and set up, they would like to even set up a factory, I believe, to build them in this community, but it's kind of restricted with labor being paid by the government not to work. I phrase it appropriately?
My understanding is that unless these new state laws that were just, the state law, the Senate bill that was just passed, unless that makes us change our zoning requirements, then we already have in place the restrictions for habitable
Okay.
size homes and what they have to be built out of and all of that versus the mobile tiny homes. But if we have to, by state law, designate areas of that, then certainly Leo and I will take a look at that and inform you. But as far as it goes right now, it's always the same. I thought it was for some reason a minimum of 800 square feet, but anyway, my memory escapes me.
Yeah, that's pretty small. I didn't realize it could be that small.
They're kind of like what used to be the shotgun homes.
Homes here, yeah.
Yeah.
Some are still being moved in.
Anything else? Or missing?
No.
Items, okay.
That explained it, thank you very much.
Last item is the approval of minutes for the Regional Planning Commission for June 16th of 2021. And Carol, as always,
Has not found a darn thing on it, and I tried really hard. If you guys have anything, spit it out.
I get a gold star.
Yes, you do.
okay.
At least for me, I don't know about these others.
Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead, if anybody has found anything else, I did not, but does anybody else find anything in there?
I didn't.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and approve the minutes. I have a motion
I'll
to
make a
approve.
motion to approve the
Okay,
minutes
Carol will make
as
the motion.
presented.
Okay, as presented, she can make that motion. And Andy, your second?
Yep.
Okay, Andy seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, so we'll move on. The last thing is public comment. We understand we limit this to 3 minutes, and any public comment is welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you guys keep moving me along, so this may be a repeat, but either way, I haven't got any answers. On numerous occasions, I've asked for a complete list of those that have been given a permit to rent their property to RVs or motorhomes. As of today, I have not received anything. We're going back months, might be over years. I see RVs and motorhomes popping up all over town on the streets, yet I have not seen any report from the city, county building inspector, or the regional planning commission. I want that list. I want to know if they're being built for water, sewer, and landfill. If they need a permit, it has to go before a public body. I'm assuming it's the planning commission. Has it gone before the city? Has it gone before the county? Has it come before you guys? Well, Lonesome George is out here not able to rent his property, and yet you guys allowed this on the side. It isn't that you don't hear the complaints. I'm getting angry, and I'm getting angry at you guys. You have a job to do, you're not doing it. Mr. Chairman, a while back, I brought up a concern in regards to horses and mosquitoes. My brother wrote a letter to the editor, not the editor, the mayor, June 10th, 2021, claims that there wasn't a problem. I want to refresh your memories for those that weren't here. August 16, 2006, I was mayor at the time. Jim Olive sent me a letter because I had a friend of mine put goats on a lot that I owned to eat the weeds. They were there a couple of days. He quoted City Code Chapter A, Animal Control, Article A, Livestock Lot, Fowl, Sections 538-A, keeping of regulated animals, so on and so forth. Selective enforcement of the law. Police report. I moved those animals out. And then the mayor says, Mr. Carson can't have his because he's out in the county. Here's the map. He's got to move back 100 feet. I'm going to give you that map. You need to enforce the law. The animal control officer needs to enforce the law. Again, we either have rules and regulations or we don't. And those in charge either got to do their job or move, meaning leave. With that problem with NDOT, we talk about safety, Campton and Great Basin. yet the street across Avenue I is almost 2 times, 3 times wider, maybe a tenth of the traffic. Let's address that now before NDOT finishes their project. Mr. Chairman, this body as well as others have not addressed the violation, city code, county commission violations, the planning commission and others. I want to
George,
remind
thank you.
Mr. Allworth, no special permit, no landfill, no water. You gotta address that. This was dated back in 2007. I'm still waiting for an answer.
All right, George, thank you, appreciate it.
Well, can I get some answers? I'm gonna keep coming back until I do so.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, seeing there's no other public comment, I'll go ahead and move for adjournment. Somebody, Carol, you gonna make a motion? Do I hear a second? Brad? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, thank you. Go down a little bit.
I don't, yeah, I mean, there's no official like code enforcement body. That's a big rat, so they just take it on a case by case basis.
Any more?
Yes.
I don't know if they'll be given funding.
This has been a Georgetown production. George Chachis reporting.